will be non-pros by the state. I'll sign that non-pros when I receive it. Position 55, Xavier Lacewell. What's the state's position on Mr. Lacewell?
Yes, Your Honor. The state is ready to proceed on Mr. Lacewell. The officer as well as the victim is present and ready to go.
Is Mr. Lacewell in the courtroom?
I do not see him as of right now.
I believe I saw him when I walked in this morning.
Okay.
Would somebody mind? Would somebody mind going and sounding in the hallway, or I'm not sure if I went next.
I'll make sure he didn't go into G40 and get rerouted.
Right, I think that I saw him. And what was the other matter that we had to take up this morning?
Yes, Your Honor. Carol Smith, I did send that note over to the court. That was
Okay.
on Tuesday. So you are in receipt of that. And then Mr. Gossy's client was position numbers 2 through 12, I believe. Yes, 12 on the calendar. And he was going to present proof of incarceration in Tennessee this morning.
Okay,
And then we also have a plea scheduled for Ms. Catherine Cody, which is position number 27 on my calendar, Judge. And Attorney Ryan Schwartz is making an appearance on Cody's behalf.
okay,
And I did send the attorney the Zoom link for Aries.
And Your Honor, I do just have 2 things that I want to address with the court when Mr. Lacewell gets here
Okay.
regarding his case.
He's not in G40.
okay. I will hold for him.
Okay.
Do we have a number?
For Mr. Lacewell.
Yes,
Wasn't he a younger gentleman?
right. I
He was here early.
right, I thought I saw him in the hallway.
He has on the cream.
I
Yeah,
wasn't
he
sure
was
what he
sitting
has
on that
on.
bench outside in the hallway. And maybe I'm still sitting right here. Yeah.
Good morning, Mr. Schwartz. Hope you're well this morning.
Good morning, Judge. I apologize. I'm sitting in my car because in between 2 court appearances at 2 different courthouses.
No worries, you're fine. Let's see. Can we get good morning, Miss Cody? And if I can get the paperwork for.
And Your Honor, it was a citation.
Oh, no, I have it. Thank you. Miss Cody, if you could raise your right hand for me. Do you swear to tell the truth, swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth this morning?
Yes.
And it's my understanding that Ms. Cody has been charged with failure to maintain lane or improper lane change. Is that correct?
She has, Judge, been charged with
Okay.
that.
And what will she be pleading to this morning?
Yes, Your Honor, we have worked out a plea to a basic rules violation. And we've agreed to a $250 fine.
Okay. Is that your understanding, counsel?
Yes, Judge. Yes.
And can Ms. Cody pay the $250 today, or is she gonna need some time?
Yes, I can do it.
You can pay today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you plan on coming down to the courthouse to pay, or do you plan on paying, online?
Online. would be
Give them
better.
till later on this afternoon so that they can upload, the information to the system. And once you do that, you will be done. Given that you all are virtual, I'll need for you to, sign the guilty plea for basic rules. So I'll have, the litigation manager send that to you, Mr. Schwartz, so that you can get that back to us.
Okay, may I do that when I'm back at my office, Judge?
Of course. So,
Thank you, Judge.
I just wanted to alert you that we would need to have that done. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm glad that you all were able to work it out. If nothing further, you will have a good day today.
Thank you, Judge. And I want to thank you for accommodating us this morning. I appreciate that very much.
It's not a problem whatsoever. Happy to, be able to do that. I'm glad that you were able to come back, Miss Cody. I know that you were seated in my courtroom pretty much all morning yesterday, so.
And Judge, I apologize for that. I was in Judge Parker Smith's courtroom in Superior Court of DeKalb for
Okay.
longer than expected.
Well, that's not a problem. I'm glad that we were able to bring it to a resolution today. If nothing further, you all have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So if we can send counsel so that he can sign that and get it back to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is he gonna say the end, please, abstention?
Well, she was here.
She was here, okay,
Yes.
okay, so just send him the.
Yeah, right.
Mr. Lakesville, so he was here, so I told the officers at the front door if he comes back down, cause he may have went to 2K because he was sitting in the hallway. But he is in his building, that was him.
Okay. Do we have his number? I mean, he saw me come in, he spoke to me, I walked into this courtroom. So I would assume that he would have known that this is where court will be held
Maybe
today.
in the restroom, I'll keep checking. But I did tell them if they see him, let him know to come here. And I'll give him a call.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Check in.
Okay.
No, he's here. He's in the building, I think.
Do you want, do you want me to print out the packet?
We'll be in recess until we locate Mr. Lacewell.
What-
Good morning, Mr. Gazi. How are you today?
Good. I'm hanging in there, Your Honor. I have a sick family member. Thank you for asking. Um, and I'm glad I could be, I'm thankful that you could allow me to participate in court via Zoom for Mr. Arias.
You're welcome, Mr. Gazi. Let's see. It's my understanding that you were going to present the court and the state with proof of incarceration for Mr. Arias. Is that
Your
right?
Honor, yes, let me bring you up to date. He was arrested in DeKalb County on a domestic event on a hold. Apparently, we couldn't figure out where the hold was. You know how difficult those can be and to get the information on it. So we were trying to find out. We were unable to find out from the arresting from DeKalb County. It turns out that it was somewhere in Tennessee. After about 2 weeks, Tennessee did come down, or about 3 weeks actually. It was about a week before DeKalb was set to release him, and they took him to Tennessee. And my understanding was we're trying to get the information on where it was in Tennessee. We'd be able to do that from the family, but we were unable to do so. And so I had assumed that it was somewhere in Tennessee, and he was still being held. And but and I have not heard from Frankie, from Mr. Arias, which is somewhat unusual. But I have to, in all candor to the court, I talked to the family, to the girlfriend, and they had a falling out, and her understanding is that he made bond in Tennessee. But I have not heard from him, and we have been unable to we've had no contact and been unable to establish that he's still in Tennessee custody. In he he has had a lot of cases, Your Honor. He had a traumatic motorcycle accident that was actually not his fault, and he lost a leg. I've known him for about 5 years. And I've been in this case for a while. He was revoked in Gwinnett County. Your Honor, I would ask the court to give him till December before we issue another warrant for him, to the December court date. And if by then we're unable to figure out and bring him in, he told me we just finished another case in Fulton County that we entered a plea to, and he got probation. And we represented to the court. He's trying to turn his life around. He's lost his leg. But then this Tennessee arrest from some kind of fraud or something that I'm not even I'm not representing him on. But he was trying to get things in order. But I have not heard from him since this DeKalb arrest, Your Honor. But we would ask for December if Your Honor's willing to do that.
Okay. And have you had an opportunity to speak with the state as to resolution of all these cases?
No, Your Honor, but we can do that in short order.
Okay. Now, do you know if I am on any CIT calendars in December?
Let me check.
They have not put any assigned any judges to the calendars yet.
Okay. You want to weigh in on this at all, Ms. Waldron?
Your Honor, only to the extent that I did reach out to defense counsel via email. We have not spoken about the cases. I did provide an offer. And then once I was informed that he was incarcerated in Tennessee, a amended offer for some type of a plea in absentia. But understanding that they haven't been able to get in touch with their client, I know we won't be able to go forward on that. With regard to giving more time, I'll just defer to the court, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, they reset it to be 12/18. If you're gonna reset it, if that's okay.
And am I on the calendar then?
I'm not for sure. They haven't put any judges in on that day.
Okay. Well, I want to further notice it to one of my calendars. I don't want to stick another judge with something I've already
Yes, sir.
touched. So, Mr. Gazi, what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to further notice this case until we have a calendar where I'm on the calendar. Since I've already been dealing with the case, I want to continue to deal with it. So we will let you know what first calendar where I will be seated, whether it's this year or the beginning of next year. Hopefully that'll give you enough time to get in touch with your client.
And I would expect and hope to hear from him. This is somewhat unusual with him totally.
Okay.
So we'll do that. We appreciate it.
And what I do encourage you to do also is that once you do hear from him, if you will get in touch with Ms. Waldrop, maybe you all can work something out. And if it's going to be a plea, then I guess you could go on any calendar, okay?
And may plea in absentia or get it resolved, and I'm sure he'll want to do that.
Okay, well, I have no objection to a plea in absentia. Okay? You still with me, Mr. Ghazi?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
That's it. May
All
I be
right.
excused?
yes, have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Did Mr. Lacewell come in?
No, sir, I checked one more time.
Who was that was?
What was that gentleman's name?
Waiting next door.
Okay. Your Honor, this is Mr. Lacewell.
Okay, I thought so. Where you been, Mr. Lacewell? Have a seat right there. We've been waiting on you. Okay, let's see. This is the Orca citation jury trial calendar. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. The court calls the case of State versus Xavier Lacewell, case 23 CIT 0072223. It's my understanding that Mr. Lacewell has requested a bench trial in this matter. Is that correct, Mr. Lacewell?
Yes.
And you're ready to proceed this morning? And the state's ready to proceed?
Your Honor, with respect to its witnesses, the state is ready to proceed. There are a couple of matters that will need to be addressed beforehand. One of which is the state filed a reaccusation or the accusation of the case. It was initially accused as a citation. The citation obviously did not provide a factual basis, just the statute. And so we did a reaccusation in order to provide that factual basis. It has been filed down to the clerk's office. I have communicated with Mr. Nataki Enden by email, and he has confirmed acceptance or receipt, at least, of that reaccusation. However, it is not entered into the system, into the record, with an actual official case number. And so I have what it is that we sent down. I just don't have the actual filing, although I do have confirmation from Mr. Eden that it was received with the court. So I believe the clerk's office is still working on that issue. I've asked someone to go and follow up and get an update on that. And I myself followed up this morning, but have not heard a response. Secondly, I believe that we will need to move forward with a Ferretta hearing, given that the defendant has elected to represent himself. And so we'll need to have that hearing to determine that he has voluntarily, knowingly and intelligently waived his right to counsel. So those are the two matters that we'll need to take up.
Okay, so when we were in court on Tuesday, had there been an accusation filed?
Not on Tuesday, Judge, not on Tuesday. These were all citations that were filed. And I will point out that with regard to the accusation, nothing else has changed with regard to the accusation. It is the same charge. It is all the same of what he's already been put on notice of. It's just a formal accusation with the statutory language. Nothing has substantially changed. And Your Honor, if you do want to wait for the clerk's office to enter that into the record, I can certainly allow Mr. Lacewell to view the body cam. I had reached out to him yesterday morning about the discovery that the state was going to file, because I wanted to be able to email it to him. There was no email in the system for him, but I never heard back. So if he would like to watch that this morning, then I can certainly get that uploaded and ready for him to view.
Okay. As Mr. Lacewell is representing himself, the court does not feel comfortable moving forward until he has the ability to not only see the accusation that has been filed. Well, number one, for the accusation to be properly filed and accepted. Number two, for him to receive any discovery or anything else in this record that has been filed. I think that it is against his interest to move forward at this time without giving him that opportunity. It's one thing to have for us to proceed on just the citation. I think it's a whole nother thing to move forward on the accusation with additional filings that might
And Your Honor,
cause a
I just want to be clear, the accusation doesn't allege anything additional. It's simply, there's no substantial changes to anything. It's the same charge and code section that was originally, that he was originally notified on with this citation.
Okay, I understand that, but I just don't understand why we have bench trials all the time in this court that move on just a citation as opposed to accusations and additional discovery that is without additional discovery. I mean, so I don't understand the difference or why the posture of the case has changed from Tuesday until today.
And Your Honor, if you can give me a moment, I can consult with someone to see whether or not the citation is something that we can just move forward on. The accusation has not been entered into the record, so I
Okay.
can take, a minute to discuss with.
Okay, I wish if you'll go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Because the court would feel comfortable moving forward with just the citation, as we do quite often.
Okay.
But with additional filings from the state that honestly have not yet been accepted, and that Mr. Lacewell has not had the adequate opportunity to review. And given that he is pro se, I just don't feel comfortable moving forward. You have all your witnesses here. If you
Yes,
want to
sir.
move forward on copy of on the citation, I think that was the anticipation not only from the court but from Mr. Lacewell. This involves additional legal matters that Mr. Lacewell, being pro se, might not be familiar with, and the court cannot explain that to him. Neither can So I would want to give him the opportunity to seek legal assistance if that's what he wanted to do.
Okay.
But if you want to move forward on the citation, then let's do that this morning. If you don't, then I'm going to continue this case so that if Mr. Lacewell chooses to do so, that he can at least get some type of advice.
Sure. Then, Your Honor, I will go ahead and provide him with a copy of the discovery. I'll step out for a moment and just consult very briefly
Okay.
on that matter of the moving forward on the citation.
Court will be in recess. Yes, Ms. Walker.
Yes, I was able to consult with another attorney in our office, Judge, and we can proceed forward on the citation if that is the court's wish and if the defendant will waive any defects with regard to the citation, which I did speak with him, and I believe he's prepared to do that. The state will be ready to proceed forward.
Okay, let me just address Mr. Lacewell first. Mr. Lacewell, good morning again. I had this opportunity to speak with you on our last court date. Let me instruct you that you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. It's my understanding that you wish to proceed pro se without the advice of counsel. Is that correct? Okay. Can you turn on that? If that microphone's not on, can you turn that on and pull it down close to you, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And when I last spoke with you also, you also have a right to have a trial by jury on this matter. It's my understanding that you wish to forego your right to a trial by jury and you have opted to have a bench trial before me today. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that that the state has the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt of your guilt? They will present any witnesses that they have in that regard. You have the right to cross-examine those witnesses. You have the right to object. You will have to object to any evidence that you don't think is properly before this court, and you will have those rights. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You also have the right to remain silent, but you also have the right to testify and present evidence that if you would like to. You do not have to present any evidence. You do not have a burden before this court. It's up to the state to prove that you're guilty of the violation that you've been charged with. You understand that?
Your Honor.
You understand that you might, that a lawyer might know the rules of evidence in the matter, what is or may not be admissible. You have to take on the responsibility of cross-examining witnesses. That means asking them any questions that you might have, of making any arguments that you want to make for yourself, and providing the court with any evidence that that you think may or not be helpful to your case. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
So it's my understanding that you have waived your right to counsel in this matter. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you do that freely and voluntarily.
Yes.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Waldrop?
No, Your Honor. Did you want the defendant to go through the questions for the purposes of a Feretta hearing and just initial by each one? Did you want to review this document, or are you satisfied that he is?
I am satisfied that he has voluntarily given up his right to counsel. If you don't feel as such, and you would like to go through the matters, I'm happy to allow you to do that.
Well, Your Honor, I would just present this document to him. It's just a series of questions going over the advantages, disadvantages of self-representation, as well as hiring an attorney, and then he would just need to initial by each.
Okay. So I'll give him a moment to go through those.
Okay.
Do you have a pen there?
No.
Can we get him a utensil to write with, please?
Thank you.
Take your time, Mr. Lacewell. Just let the court know when you're ready to proceed, okay?
Okay.
Court will be in recess until he's done.
And Your Honor, I'm just going to provide Mr. Lacewell with the plea and verdict form so that we may join issue.
Okay,
This is just the plea and verdict form. You will just sign where it says defendant under not guilty.
You don't know.
That is the plea and verdict form, the joint issue, as well as the citation on which we'll be proceeding. And for any questions.
okay, thank you. My understanding the issue has been joined. Before we get going, and you calling your first witness, Ms. Waldrop, would you just place on the record for the court what the last offer to the defendant was?
Yes, Your Honor, with respect to the state's last offer to Mr. Lacewell, it was for a plea of either guilty or nolo and a $250 fine.
Okay. Call your first witness.
And Your Honor, just before we get started, just for the court's information, the Ferretta document will need to be signed. And then I just wanted to confirm that we're waiving any defects in the citation. And Your Honor, I will invoke the rule of sequestration. Officer, if you'll step out. Officer, you can go that way. Yeah, just step into the hallway and go back in.
And do you know of any defects on the citation?
Your Honor, it's just, no, it just lists the statutory section. It did not provide the factual basis, which is that the allegation is that he was changing lanes, and so that's why we reaccused it. So as long as that's waived, I believe that we can proceed.
Okay, are you ready to proceed on the citation that's entered?
Yes.
Very good.
And Judge, did you want to hear opening from both sides prior?
If you'd like to give an opening,
Yes, Judge.
that's fine with me.
It'll be brief. Your Honor, the defendant is charged as listed on the calendar with failure to signal lane change or turn. But I don't want the court to be confused as to exactly what it is that the defendant did with regard to his driving conduct on December 5th of 2022. Subsection A of OCGA 40-6-123, which is the applicable code section, states that no person shall change lanes or move right or left upon a roadway unless and until such movement can be made with reasonable safety. And so that is the section that the defendant is charged with violating on December 5th of 2022. On December 5th of 2022 at approximately 6 p.m., Ms. Williams, who you will hear from today, was traveling north on Piedmont Road just above Lakeshore Drive. She was in the farthest right-hand lane, preparing to make a turn at the next intersection on her way home. At that point, the defendant was traveling in the middle lane, adjacent to her, but to her left. The defendant attempted to also change lanes and move into Ms. Williams' lane in order to effectuate that same turn ahead at the intersection. You will hear from Ms. Williams that she, upon being hit by the defendant's vehicle, pulled over. She called 911, which we will tender in the CAD report as evidence of that. Officer Casimir with APD arrived on scene and took the report, spoke to both parties. In speaking with both Ms. Williams as well as Mr. Lacewell, he determined that their stories were not much different and weren't different at all. They were actually very consistent with each other. Mr. Lacewell indicated to Officer Casimir that he was attempting to get into the furthest right lane from the middle lane of Piedmont Road, and that he did not initially see any cars, and so Miss Williams must have been in his blind spot. He admitted this to the officer. The officer made a determination of fault for the accident and cited Mr. Lacewell with violation of OCGA 40-6-123. Ms. Williams has provided pictures which the state intends to tender into evidence of the damage to her vehicle. She also provided an estimate for the cost of repairs for that damage. That estimate is recent, Your Honor, because initially the defendant provided her with incorrect insurance information, which she will testify to as well. In addition to that, Ms. Williams reached out to Mr. Lacewell on Facebook and attempted to settle this approximately a week after the accident, and was told by the defendant, no comment, I'll see you in court, in regards to her inquiry. In addition, Your Honor, the state intends to tender into evidence the officer's body cam, which essentially shows his investigation, his conversations with both Mr. Lacewell as well as Ms. Williams as to what occurred. And I will ask Judge that at the end of the presentation of the state's evidence and the tendering of all of the evidence, that you find the defendant guilty of violating 40-6-123, and that he could not change lanes on Piedmont Road at that particular moment in time, because he could not do so with reasonable safety, which is what resulted in the accident, because Ms. Williams was in the furthest right-hand lane already traveling Piedmont Road and had the right of way.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lacewell, would you like to make an opening statement?
Yes. So I actually have my statement, and I also have the person that was with me statement as well. They wrote it, but they're also moving at the time, so they was not able to prepare or come into court because they're moving. But I have their statement in mine as well. Is it okay if I could read both of them as well? Or just give you.
This is opening, and opening, you should tell me what you expect the evidence will show. In your case, you have a right to present any evidence at a later time. But now, if you just want to, as Solicitor Waldrop did, she just gave me a preview of what's to come. So if you want to give me a preview of what's to come, now let me just tell you that out of court statements by somebody that's not in court will probably be objected to as hearsay. Okay, so if the person's not in court and you have a statement from them, that may, depending on if there's an objection, that may not come before this court. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, so if you have an overview of what you expect the evidence is going to show, you can go forward with that at this time, okay?
Okay. On December 5th of 2022, I was on my way to the Painted Pen at 737 Miami, CR Northeast Atlanta, GA, with my girlfriend. We passed the first green light before Piedmont Road and Lakeshore Drive. We then approached the next light coming to Piedmont Road that had just turned red for a brief 3 minutes. I was in the second to left lane bearing right onto Piedmont Road with my signal on. There were two cars behind me that I allowed to merge over into that lane once the light turned green. Before merging over, I looked into my rear view and side mirrors to make sure I was clear to merge into the right lane, which no cars were coming. After I had merged into that right lane, I got struck from the back right side of my car all the way to the front right bumper of my car. The driver of the car had proceeded to then honk after the horn of the driver of the car had proceeded to then honk the horn after impact. We then pulled over to the side and got out to check to see if everyone was okay. The first thing I asked the other driver was how fast was she going? The driver replied, and she stated that she must have been in my blind spot. And that it was too dark. After that, we then proceeded to decide who will call 911, which we did. After that, we exchanged insurances and took photos of each other's personal info and waited until an officer arrived on the scene. Officer Clifford then asked for my information as I requested and asked what happened, and I explained to him what happened, but he kept trying to insinuate that I was still merging over on or into the lane when I had already established myself into that lane. While explaining to him I was not at fault, while showing him the damage done to my car, Officer Clifford ignored me and proceeded to talk to the other driver and gave me the ticket for failure to maintain lane. I also have damage and pictures that I would like to show in regards of my damage to the car of the vehicle that happened that night, and also pictures I took the day after, the next morning after.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lacewell. Ms. Walter, call your first witness.
Yes, Your Honor, the state would call Christian Williams. The microphone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You swear and affirm that the testimony you give in the day of these matters are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you.
Yes.
State your name for the record.
My name is Kristen Williams.
Good morning, Ms. Williams.
Good morning, Ms. Waldrop.
Can you just tell the court just a little bit about yourself, please?
I'm 31 years old. I'm from Metro Atlanta, and I work as a client manager for a data insight company.
Okay. Ms. Williams, I want to bring your attention to December 5th of 2022. Do you recall the evening of December 5th at approximately 6 p.m.?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And why does that day stand out in your mind?
Around 6 p.m., I was driving home north. I know my permanent residency states I live in Gwinnett County, but at the time I was living in South Buckhead, and I was waiting at a red light when the light had just turned green, and I was hit adjacently by another driver.
Okay. And do you recall the physical location of where that accident occurred?
I do.
Where's that?
It was on Piedmont in between is it Lakeshore Drive and Adena.
Okay. And is that location in Fulton County?
Correct. Yes.
All right. And you stated you were going on your way home, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. With regard to your traveling on Piedmont Road, in what lane were you traveling?
I was traveling in the far right lane.
Okay. And prior to the other vehicle making contact with you, had you observed that vehicle on the roadway at all?
No, he was next to me and I was looking ahead.
Okay. Did you see the other vehicle ever attempt to enter your lane?
No.
Okay. Upon impact, what did you do?
I saw him eventually coming from my peripheral view,
Okay.
but at that point it was too late. I did honk, and I put my my indicators, my emergency signals on.
Okay, so as you saw the vehicle coming to you, it's your testimony that you could see it out of your peripheral and you honked at it?
Correct, yes.
Was your honking able to do anything to stop that vehicle from?
No, he proceeded and was actually in front of me by the time we had decided to go over to the right.
Okay. Do you recall what the vehicle looked like that hit your vehicle?
Yes, I do.
Okay, can you describe it for the court?
It's a black Nissan.
Okay. And you stated that you, after being struck, did you pull over?
Yes, correct. There was some shops on the right, so we pulled over right away.
Okay. And who called the police?
I did.
Okay. And Your Honor, at this time, the state would just tender into evidence the CAD report as State's Exhibit 8. And that is pursuant to OCGA 24-8-8036 and 24-9-902-11. It is we do have the business record certification to accompany that.
Does Mr. Lacewell have a copy, or has he seen
I
it?
can provide him with.
Okay, let him look at it first. Lacewell, do you have any objection to this document being admitted into evidence?
No, Your Honor.
Admitted without objection.
This, you good?
Thank
Okay, and Ms. Williams, what did the other vehicle do when you pulled over?
He pulled over as well.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to speak with the driver of the other vehicle?
I did.
Okay, tell us about that conversation. How did that go?
So we both got out of the car to look at the damage, make sure everyone was okay. He asked me verbatim, "Did you not see me, or you didn't see me?" When I replied to him that I had not, because he was next to me versus in front of me, so I was not able to see the back of his lights, tail lights.
Okay. I want to be clear. You stated that you were traveling in the furthest right-hand lane. So what was to your left and what was to your right?
To my left was the middle lane, and then to my right, there were some shops, like a parking lot where we pulled over.
Okay. And to your right, was there a sidewalk in front of those shops? Recall?
I believe so.
Okay. So would it be accurate to say that there was absolutely nowhere for you to go unless it would have been up onto the sidewalk?
Correct. And it was rush hour as well.
Okay. At some point, did the driver of the other vehicle provide you with insurance information?
He did.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been marked, pre-marked as State's Exhibit 1. I'm just gonna ask you a couple of questions. You recognize State's Exhibit 1?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
This is the insurance information that Mr. Lacewell gave me prior to the police officer coming on scene.
Okay. And is it an accurate depiction of the insurance information provided to you by defendant?
It is not. A few days prior to the accident, I did reach out to this insurance company, and they mentioned that this policy was no longer active and thus invalid.
Okay, but is that photo?
Oh, the photo is accurate. This is, I took myself.
Yeah, so is the photo accurate with regard to what he provided you on December 5th of 2022?
Yes.
Okay, to your knowledge, have there been any material alterations or deletions from that photo that would make it appear different than what you know and understand it to be?
No.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the state would tender into evidence State's Exhibit 1.
How is this relevant?
Well, Your Honor, it's relevant because it goes to why it is it took her so long to get the estimate for the repairs. That estimate is more recent.
Are you all asking for any property damage in the case?
Restitution, Judge, yes, because that has not been settled.
Okay. Any objection to this document, Mr. Lacewell?
No, Your Honor.
Admitted without objection.
And Ms. Williams, who took that photo?
I did
Okay, and when was it taken?
at 6:08.
Okay, just want to point out a couple of points of interest. And you're under permission to publish that document?
Yes. That's fine. I just don't understand. I mean, is admitted. I don't know if there's going to be an objection to.
But if you would just look at the document, I can submit it to the court now.
And if you need to do it later for any reason, that's fine.
Ms. Williams, at some point, did an officer arrive on scene?
Yes.
Okay, what happened when the officer arrived?
I believe that I spoke to the officer first, while Mr. Lacewell was in his respective, vehicle. And then I went back into my vehicle and Mr. Lacewell spoke to the officer as well.
Okay, and did you relay to the officer what you just relayed to the court today?
Yes,
Okay, do you know whether the officer took a report?
he did.
Okay, and what happened after he took his report?
He mentioned to me that, I was free to go and that the other driver, received a citation.
Okay, he indicated that you were free to go. Did you then proceed home?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so your vehicle was drivable, is
Yes.
that correct? Okay. Did you sustain any injuries as a result of this accident?
No, I did not.
Okay, what about damage to your vehicle as a result of this accident?
Yes, there's some, damage to the left-hand, driver's side.
Okay. Williams, I'm going to show you what has been pre-marked as exhibits 2 through 4. Oops. And we've worked hard on this. There's a copy of them in here.
Excuse me, Your Honor. This is the court reporter. I just have a little trouble hearing Ms. Waldrop when she's not right at her microphone.
Okay,
When she walked up to the witness stand. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Greenhouse. So if you wouldn't mind doing your presentation either closer to the microphone, either microphone will be fine.
Yes, Judge. And I'm sorry if this spoke. Those are state exhibits 2 through 5. Ms. Williams, how do you recognize those?
Those are images from, the damages on my car. The first 2 are from the night of the accident and the second 2 are from the day before. I mean, the day after.
Okay. And are they an accurate depiction of the damage to your vehicle as a result of the accident on December 5th, 2022?
Yes, they are.
Have there been any material deletions or alterations from the photos that would make them appear different than how you understand and know them to exist?
No.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, the state would tender into evidence states exhibits 2 through 5.
Any objection, Mr. Lacewell?
No.
Entered without objection. Thank you.
Ms. Williams, who took those photos?
I did.
Okay. And I believe you stated that, well, which photos were taken the night of and which ones the day after?
The first 2, the one, the darker images, And then the 2 during daytime were taken after the following
That
day.
it's 2 and 3 were taken the night of, and 4 and 5 were taken the day after.
Correct.
Just describe for the court the damage.
So there's some damage on the left-hand side, as you can see, some scratches and paint damage, and then as well as the left fender, there's scratches, paint damage, as well as some minor dents.
Okay. Did you seek an estimate for the repair of the damage to your vehicle?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 6. Williams, do you recognize that document?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
These are the estimates that I received from the body shop on the damages of the car.
Okay, and is it an accurate depiction of the repair estimate that you received to fix the damage to your vehicle?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and to your knowledge, have there been any material alterations or deletions to that document that would make it appear different than how you know it to exist?
No.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, State would tender into evidence State Exhibit 6.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Without objection.
And Ms. Williams, was it you that obtained that estimate?
Yes.
Okay, when did you get that estimate?
Yesterday morning.
Okay, why did you wait almost a year before obtaining an estimate to repair your car?
So I originally contacted the insurance company that Mr. Lacewell provided me a few days after the accident. They had told me that policy had expired and was invalid. I was aware that I have 2 years from the accident, and so it wasn't pressing. And I had just recently received a call that I had to be here today, so I tried to get an estimate in order to provide you all.
Okay. Can you just briefly describe what it is that is contained in the document as far as what needs to be repaired?
From my understanding, paint damages and dents from the fender. I'm not an expert at body repair, so.
Okay. Were there any other witnesses to this accident, Ms. Williams?
There was. I had a passenger.
Okay, where is she today?
She's in North Carolina.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did the officer cite anyone for causing the accident?
Yes.
Who was that?
Mr. Lacewell.
Okay. Were you cited with any traffic violation at all stemming from this accident?
No.
Okay. And I want to clarify that as you were traveling in that farthest right-hand lane, did you ever at any point cross the double lines to your left into the defendant's middle lane?
No, the light was red and had just turned green within a few seconds, so I was continuing straight ahead.
Okay. And Ms. Williams, you stated that you reached out to the defendant's insurance shortly after the accident. Did you also reach out to the defendant himself?
I did.
Okay, can you tell me about that?
I'm not really familiar with the process. I reached out, I spoke to my dad, and he suggested that I reach out to the defendant on Facebook if I could find him. I wrote to him that I was politely the other driver from a couple nights before. Would you like to go through insurance or pay out of pocket for the damages on my car? He then responded briefly, no comment, period. I'll see you in court.
Okay. I am going to show you what has been pre-marked as State Exhibit 9.
I'm fine.
Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what is it?
This is our brief conversation on Facebook Messenger.
Okay, and is that an accurate depiction of the conversation between you and the defendant on Facebook?
It is.
Okay, to your knowledge, have there been any material alterations or deletions?
No, there is not.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, the state would tender into evidence, State's Exhibit 9.
The objection?
No, Your Honor.
Ends it without objection.
And just one final question, Ms. Williams, can you identify for the court the individual that struck your vehicle as it attempted to enter into your lane of travel on Piedmont Road on December 5th of 2022?
Yes, this gentleman here in the black shirt.
Yes, I was just gonna ask, can you point him out, describe where he's sitting and what he's wearing to the court? Your Honor, I believe she's done that. Let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
So reflected.
Nothing further from the state for this witness, Judge.
Now, Mr. Lacewell, this is your opportunity to ask Ms. Williams any questions that you have of her. And they have to be in the form of a question. If you have any questions that you have, you can ask her now.
The day of the accident, when the light did just turn green, how you stated it was red before it turned green. When we did hit contact or did initiate contact, did you honk after contact or before contact?
I honked right before contact.
You honked before contact?
Right before.
Okay.
And that's because I had enough time. Oh,
There's no
sorry.
question.
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
The other question I have is when we did get out of the car, the first question that I did ask you was how fast was you going? You replied to me saying that you must have been in my blind spot, correct?
I don't recall you asking me that question.
That was the first question that I did ask you when
I
we got out of the
recall,
car.
I do not recall that. I recall you asking me, mentioning, did you not see me?
Those are all the questions I have for Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor, nothing further.
All right, thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
Honor, the state would call Officer Casimir. Can I go and get him?
Yes, please.
That microphone right there. Right there, the podium, the microphone, you can go around. Front. Yes.
Right, you just want to affirm that the testimony you given today in these matters are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help.
Yes.
State your name for the record.
My name is Officer Clifford Casimir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And one moment, please. Officer Casimir, how are you employed?
I'm employed by the Atlanta City Department.
Atlanta Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. And how long have you been employed as a police officer for the Atlanta Police Department?
Since March 26, 2021.
Okay. And are you post-certified?
Yes.
Okay. Can you just tell the court a little bit about your law enforcement training and experience, just in general, just briefly?
We go through a lot of necessary trainings and investigations on certain things such as burglaries, robberies, accidents, um, things like that, when to use force and when not to use force, and speaking to people.
Okay. And were you employed with the City of Atlanta Police Department on December 5th of 2022?
That is correct.
Okay. And about what time were you on duty on that particular day?
My time frame was 3 p.m. to around 11 p.m.
Okay. And were you in uniform to include your badge?
Yes.
All right. And were you in a marked patrol vehicle?
Yes.
You recall responding to the location of around Piedmont Road and Lakeshore Drive?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And is that location squarely within the bounds of Fulton County?
Yes.
Okay. Approximately what time did you respond to that location?
Around that time, I don't recall, but it would be around within 9:30 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Would it help to refresh your recollection if I showed you your report?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall approximately what time you responded to the location?
Yes, that is correct.
What time exactly was that?
6:50.
Okay. And how were you made aware of the need to respond to that location?
I was dispatched over to the incident location.
Okay. And do you know what the purpose of the dispatch was, what the call was for?
Yes, a traffic accident.
Okay. And is your uniform equipped with a camera?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Was it working properly that day?
Yes, it was.
And is it routine for an Atlanta Police Department uniform to be equipped with a camera?
That is correct on every call.
Okay. And how does it operate with regard to turning it on and off?
The body cam is checked every day during roll call. It must be on, not recording, but on. When arriving to a scene, once you turn on your lights and sirens, the body cam starts to record.
Okay.
And if you don't turn on your lights and sirens, you'll have to double tap the body cam for it to record.
Okay. And what angle does it record?
I keep mine directly in my center, right near my heart.
Okay. And so would it then be recording a straight, direct head-on view?
Yes, straight, direct, head-on view from the middle of my chest.
Okay. And have you had an opportunity to view your body cam from this particular call on December 5th, 2022?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And when was the last time that you viewed that tape?
Sorry.
When was the last time that you viewed that tape?
Yesterday night.
When was the last time?
Yesterday night.
Okay. And does that tape have your encounter with Mr. Xavier Lovelace recorded?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And Your Honor, at this time, I'm going to play just a portion of the tape and ask Officer Casimir to identify it.
Okay.
Not interrupting the Zoom, but. Okay, so I'm just gonna play a portion of the tape for a few seconds and then ask you to identify it. And for purposes of the court reporter, that is the first 22 seconds of the tape. Officer, do you recognize the first 22 seconds of what you just watched?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how is it that you recognize it?
Well, my hands, my car, my vehicle that I used that night, and the location that I'm driving in.
Okay, and can you tell the court if this videotape is a fair and accurate recording of your encounter with the defendant on the night of December 5th, 2022?
That is correct.
Okay, and to your knowledge, have there been any material alterations or deletions to the video?
No, there has not.
Okay. Your Honor, the state requests that the tape be entered into evidence. State's Exhibit 7.
Any objection?
No objection.
Without objection.
And Your Honor, for the record, this video is 39 minutes and 52 seconds long. For purposes of just judicial efficiency and economy, I am going to start the video at 14 minutes, which is where Officer Casimir encounters both the victim and the defendant, the victim first, Ms. Williams. If there's no objection from the court or from the defendant.
That's fine with the court.
No objection.
It was kind of like a red light like this for all the cars. And keep going back to Campbell, basically. And I did obviously it was right at night. On their side, I don't think because I'm there into my can I see some sparks right here? I can't follow this pretty hard. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Has some sort of like he was basically saying he was being on TV and then he was with like 5 miles an hour and he came straight on me.
You were
This time right.
yeah, we are
Right.
right under the line. Yeah.
Right over there.
Like sure. Police. You believe it? There are everyone rebirth over there. Where's your phone number? Yes. With the I don't know much. So yeah, I'm gonna kind of give you answer. I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm signing out. No problem. Wait, were you going straight with that or you guys are trying to work? Oh, you don't have time. It was like soon all of the cars. I'm trying. You on my side. You that. Yeah. So you have to turn, will you turn it from how we go again? So you mentioned something, trying to get on to the next lane. Oh, that's all right. I was, you're trying to get this far and I turned. Oh, no, this is my parents, but I also have to use the insurance.
And Your Honor, for the record, if there is no objection from the court or the defendant, I'm going to stop the video at 18 minutes and 11 seconds. At this point, Officer Casimir returns to his vehicle. He does some administrative work of putting in their information from their driver's license and just kind of beginning his report of what is taking place. And so if there's no objection, again, I'll start it back up at 28:53 when he exits the vehicle and reapproaches both defendant and Ms. Williams.
Any objection, Mr. Laxon?
I believe I do have an objection.
Say it again.
I think I have an objection for that part.
What's your objection?
So as I explained,
Okay, so just so I'm clear to you, right now, we're just talking about the video. So we're only focused on the video, and Ms. Waldrop just wants to cut out the part where this officer is doing administrative work and fast forward it until your next, his next encounter with you all. So is there any objection to Ms. Waldrop doing that?
Oh, no.
Okay, so that's all that we're,
Okay.
that we're speaking of right now. Okay, so go ahead, Ms.
And for the record, this is 28 minutes and 51 seconds.
Attorney says, and to us, it was fine. You did not say that you're guilty, but you said I was there. You look about this, but I'm not. Okay, I 5 minute guilt. One follow here. I don't think I got it. I have no. We have an so no kind of like it's not going to better. Because it's four number down there, so we can. Is there also a camera down the street? Okay. That's first sliding, you're the that first slide. Again. Where are you? Yeah. Well, they have, you didn't check, they have. Yeah, for that next walkway, like. That was part of it, yeah. I'm not gonna find Kevin, I'm gonna check in something. I'll let you know when I go help.
Once again, just for purposes of judicial efficiency, I'm going to stop at 3154. And if there is no objection from the court or the defendant, I'm going to start again at 3555. This is just the officer again in his vehicle. There's no interaction or encounter with either Ms. Williams or the defendant.
What do you anticipate that the rest of this video is going
I'm
to show?
just going to play the rest of the encounter with the defendant, Judge.
Say it again.
I'm just going to play the rest of the encounter with the defendant. There's some questions about that the defendant has about a camera. Officer Casimir will testify as to why it is he was unable to capture this, review this incident on camera. That's all. It's just the rest of the encounter.
All right. Any objection, Mr. Ricewell?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, I just want to be clear that I'm not leaving anything out.
Okay.
And I will start it back up at 35. This is 3555.
What time did I? So, there's a camera. Somebody will want it back. So, if they prove that you're not at fault, the problem will be to get to place. So, what's the actually happen? Outside of actually.
Right after this, yeah. Right after I thought it's six, but I'm talking a couple minutes.
This is our license, this will be the report number, and use consent. And they state in the arbitration.
We're kind of back here, so it must have just turned green. So there's a bunch of cars kind of lined up here. And he tried to get over and he came on me. I don't know. I was driving. I don't know. I think he was straight ahead. I was driving like 5 miles an hour. So the cars were back kind of like that. So I wasn't even going fast. What I was going fast is probably get there. Is it crazy?
These are the case number, I give you that blue color, that's the report number, you get that from the insurance logo.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Any other question? That's okay. Okay, good job. Good job.
Okay, officer. That concludes your investigation and encounter with Ms. Williams, Mr. Lacewell.
Yes, it does. I also look through city cameras as well after the fact.
I'm sorry?
I also look through the city cameras after the fact for the accident.
Yes, we will get to that. Do you recall after watching the video, the traffic conditions around on that particular day around that time?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what were those?
Dark,
Okay.
cloudy and wet was the rain.
Okay, so the weather conditions and the roadway conditions, describe those?
Yes.
Did you say wet?
Yes, it was.
Okay, all right. When you arrive on scene, we see you speak with a young lady. She's standing outside of her vehicle. Who was that individual?
On my report, that'll be driver number 2, I believe, Christine.
Okay, and I know that we watched the video. The audio was, not the best because of the background noise. So can you just briefly tell the court your conversation with Ms. Williams?
Yes, my conversation with Ms. Williams was that she was letting me know that she called 911 and she was in her lane of travel on the far right side on Piedmont Road going north. She also informed me that the driver number 2, I believe, the defendant, came into her lane of travel at that time. Yeah, that's so far.
Okay, and on your report, I think you said driver 2. Was the defendant driver 1 or driver 2 on your report?
Defendant will be driver 1.
Okay. What did you speak with the driver of the other vehicle who she said came into her lane?
Repeat that one more time.
Did you speak with the other driver that Ms. Williams said came into her lane?
Yes.
Okay, and what did that person state to you?
That person also has the same story where it was similar. He stated that he was in the middle lane, merging into her lane. He stated that he was in the middle lane, going into the right lane, and did not see driver number 2.
Okay, and did you observe any damage to either vehicle?
Yes, there were damage on both vehicles.
Okay, and can you describe that damage that you observed?
Yes, on Miss Williams' vehicle, I believe the damage were on the left side from the front bumper going down near the driver's side door, if I recall correctly, and on driver number 1 vehicle, the defendant's He had damages on the passenger side, right passenger side door down to the back of the right passenger side door.
Okay, and when you say damages, can you describe what you're talking about?
Yeah, the damages would be scratches,
Okay,
paint removal, things like that.
okay. And did the damage that you observed, was that consistent with the stories that you got from Miss Williams and Mr. Lacewell?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Did you then make a determination as to how the accident occurred?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what did you determine?
I determined that driver number one was at fault. He stated that he did merge into the lane. Just because he merged into the next lane doesn't mean that the lane was clear. It shows that Miss Williams did not have enough time to hit on her brakes because the damage were in the front of her vehicle. And if he were to switch lanes, the middle side of his vehicle got hit. So therefore, he did not see her and he went into the next lane and she had no time to react. Therefore, her vehicle was hit in the front, creating the damage to both vehicles.
Okay. Officer Casimir, I'm going to just show you for purely demonstrative purposes a sketch. Who generated this sketch?
I did, Your Honor. I
Okay.
did.
This is not an actual accident reconstruction, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. The sketch that I am showing you, is it a demonstration though of how the accident between Ms. Williams and Mr. Lovelace occurred?
Yes.
Okay. It appears that you have labeled I don't know if we'll be able to see, but it appears that you have labeled this vehicle as unit 1. Can you see that?
That is correct. I can't see that. That is unit 1.
And this vehicle is unit 2?
Yes.
Okay. And we stated that unit 1 or driver 1 is Mr. Lacewell, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and unit 2 or driver 2 is Miss Williams, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What is unit 1 being, the vehicle being driven by the defendant doing in the sketch?
In the sketch, it shows unit 1 in the middle lane, turning or merging into the right far lane.
Okay. And have you had the opportunity to investigate traffic accidents and assign fault previously?
Yes.
Okay, approximately how many investigations had you done before this particular day?
Before this particular day, it will be about 40.
Okay. And based on your determination as to the cause of this accident, did you cite anyone with a traffic offense?
Yes, I have.
Okay, who was that person?
Driver number 1.
Okay, is that Mr. Xavier Lacewell?
Yes.
Okay, and with what offense did you cite him?
With improper lane change.
Okay, and finally, I just want to ask you a couple of brief questions. We heard on the video, the defendant ask about a camera in that area. What did you determine about whether or not a camera existed and whether or not it captured this accident?
Yes. So after let me see. In the body cam video, when you played it the second time when I had the second encounter with him, in that vehicle, I wrote him a citation, and I also was checking for cameras after he requested it. After reviewing the cameras, I was not able to replay the time frame that they both said that the accident occurred on. So I tried, it just wouldn't play back.
Okay. Nothing further from the state.
Mr. Lacewell, do you have any questions of the officer?
Yes, I have a couple. Why did you write me the citation and not the other applicant when they hit my car?
All right, for Georgia law on the roads, the person that was in the far right lane before you had the right of way. And you was telling me that, at least in the video I heard, you said something about, I think you said something about you signaled. Just because you signal doesn't mean that the lane is cleared for you to safely.
I didn't
clearly in.
say that I.
Oh, wait. So what we do is we ask a question, you let him answer, and then you ask another question.
Okay.
Okay, you can't argue with him, okay?
Okay.
Okay, well, I kind of heard that you said you didn't signal, but you did confirm with me that you moved into another lane of travel.
Okay. When I showed you the damage on my car, what did you say?
Which part? What did I say to you?
Yes. When in the camera footage of when me and driver number 2 was outside and she wanted to see the flashlight of both vehicles.
Mhm.
When I showed you my side of the vehicle and my side of my damage to my vehicle, what did you say to me?
I don't recall what I said directly to you.
Mr. Lacewell, you can ask a question such as, do you recall saying to me X, Y, or Z? If that's what your question is. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Mr. Murphy, I'm in the middle of a bench trial. Do you need me for something?
Next question. The first time you encountered me, and when I rolled down my window and I explained to you my situation, when I was telling you I already maintained myself into a lane, why did you try to insinuate and correct me into saying that I was already in between lanes when I said I already established myself?
Can you repeat the last part? When you say you establish yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Well, looking at your damage and her damage, and both of your stories were similar. Your damages are in the middle of your car on the right passenger side, meaning you did not have a clear lane of travel to be in. You admit that she was in the far right lane, and her vehicle was definitely in the far right lane based off what she stated. The damage is from the front of her vehicle, meaning she was in her lane and you crossed over into that lane, causing your own damage to your vehicle on the right side, starting from the middle, meaning you did not establish yourself fully into that lane. If you did, you would have been hit more in the rear.
I have 2 more questions. Why didn't you check to see if the other applicant was intoxicated or using their phone?
The intoxication part is because I didn't really smell any alcohol on her breath, and she had a conversation with me. I didn't see any signs of impairment at all. You asked about the phone?
Yeah.
That at that time did not cross my mind about her being on her phone because she was very aware of like the situation that happened, stating that she was driving 5 miles an hour and she saw the black vehicle cross into her lane.
And that's all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Just briefly, Judge, Officer Casimir, I just want to clarify that you ruled out alcohol as, on the part of Ms. Williams as being, a factor in this accident. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and you ruled out, distracted driving on the part of Ms. Williams as being a factor in this accident. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Nothing further.
Officer Casimir, in your investigation of an accident, do you routinely make sure that the vehicles are properly insured and registered as a part of your investigation?
Yes.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes.
And were they properly insured and registered?
Yes. After running both vehicles, I was able to get the policy number for both. I believe one of the vehicles was missing the name, if I'm not mistaken. I wasn't able to see the name of the insurance company.
Okay, but no one was charged with not having insurance or not having the vehicle properly registered?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions?
Just very briefly, Judge, Officer Casimir, your report lists the insurance as what company? What did you determine his insurance? Who did you determine his insurance to be with? Not your microphone. Based on your report, who did you determine the defendant's insurance carrier to be?
I believe it was Liberty Mutual.
Okay, so it was not the insurance carrier known as InsureMax, is that correct?
I'm not sure.
Well, it's Liberty Mutual, correct?
Oh, yes.
So you did not determine him to be insured by a company called InsureMax?
No.
Nothing further.
Anything further, Mr. Bracewell?
Besides the
No, this officer.
oh no.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here. May he be dismissed?
Yes, sure.
We appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Call your next witness.
Your Honor, the state rests. The state has no further witnesses to call.
Mr. Lacewell, again, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have the right to testify on your own behalf and present any evidence that you may have in this matter, although you do not have to, as I said before, present any evidence. If you do wish to testify, you will be subject to cross-examination. Would you like to testify, or do you have any evidence that you would like for the court to present to the court?
I have evidence I would like to present to the court.
Okay, and would you like to testify? I guess you're gonna have to testify to get that evidence to me.
Yeah.
All right, so if you'll come up to the podium.
Raise your right hand for me. You swear and affirm that the testimony you given today in these matters are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you.
So help me.
Okay, state your name for the record.
Xavier Lacewell.
Okay. What would you like to tell the court?
What you say, Your Honor?
What would you like to tell the court?
Yes, so as I said in my statement earlier, that's what happened. And from my testimony, pretty much, I really was in the lane that I was in, but I'm not trying. I'm really trying hard time to not figure. I'm really trying hard to not get irritated or everything based off of what's going on, because this is my first time in a courtroom and defending myself in general too. And I've been driving for years. and I have never really gotten into an accident, so I don't do anything bad and coercive driving in terms of just trying to be a good driver. I'm really drive for the safety of others and myself. So I never expected myself to be in a position like this. When it did come down to it, I finally have a chance to say, like, I don't think the damage that I did to that person and I received a citation is unfair because I didn't deserve a citation and the other person didn't get one. I feel like it's unfair for the person that did hit me as well did not receive a citation and I received more damage to my car. I did get hit, but it wasn't from the middle part of my car. It was actually from the back part all the way up to the front part of my vehicle. As you see in the video, I went all the way from the front right rear bumper to my car all the way to the back right side. The contact didn't start from the middle part of my car because if it did, I wouldn't have scratches from the back part all the way up to the front. It would just be in the middle part of the door, proceeding between the passenger door and the front part of the car. And I have pictures that's going to show you the full damage from the back side all the way up to the front part of the car. That I would like to show
Do
you.
you want me to see those pictures?
Yeah.
Okay, has Ms. Waldrop seen those pictures?
I believe not, no.
Okay, so let her see those pictures.
Mhm.
While she's doing that, would you mind asking them to, they're interrupting, can you hold it down a bit? Thank you. Thank you. Any objection to those being admitted into evidence, Ms. Waldrop?
No, Judge.
Admitted without objection. Okay, so go ahead.
And also amongst the police report, I see that he filled it out wrong in terms of our cars colliding together when that's not the actual point of contact. I actually was in front of the front part of her car, and I was not on the side of her car when I did initiate contact. And I also made a diagram above the police report to show the point of contact in the rows of everything that happened when it transpired. If you would like to see that, too, Your Honor.
Okay, has Ms. Waldrop seen that?
No.
I'm sorry, what is this that I'm looking at?
The police report, and in the top right is a diagram that I drew in terms of the actual point of contact that was not aligned with the actual police report, but we did have contact on that street.
Your Honor, I'm gonna object to this. I'm not sure what exactly, I mean, there's several drawings here and I'm gonna object to that.
Admitted over objection. So you're talking about the drawing that's behind the drawing that the officer.
In the top right corner, yes, Your Honor.
Top right or the
In the top right,
top right?
yes.
Okay, and do you want to tell me what this indicates?
So that indicates the point of contact when we actually did collide into each other. And when she did make contact with the car from the back point of the car all the way up against the front part of the car, because when we actually did initiate contact, my car slid from the terrain of the ring. We didn't collide together. My car slid from the terrain of her car as she hit me, and she humped afterwards.
Okay. What else do you want to tell me?
I just also have the statement with the person that was with me that I would like to give to you, and turn the report.
And I am going to object to that. It is hearsay. I'll review my objection with regard to the sketch. I just saw, I don't even know what that was. If the court could clarify for me what it is I'm supposed to be looking at. I don't mind it being shown to you for demonstrative purposes, but tendered into evidence, I don't know what that is. And I would object to any statement from a witness who isn't present to testify.
Okay, as far as the drawing goes, the police officer was allowed to testify regarding the drawing that he made and his observations as far as where he thought the point of contact was, etc. Mr. Lacewell has presented a drawing of his own that he just explained is his version of the point of contact and where the accident occurred, is my understanding. As such, because the officer was allowed to do it, I'm going to allow Mr. Lacewell to do that as well.
And Your Honor, if I just may briefly respond, the officer, I did not admit that as evidence. The sketch was for demonstrative purposes only. If you are going to allow that to be entered into evidence, I would ask that, as I put the sketch up on the TV so that everyone could see it, I would just ask that it be explained to me as to what it is I'm looking at.
Okay, I'll give you.
I'm gonna let it go.
Well, and also, if he admits this into evidence, the officer's diagram will also be admitted into evidence, as it's part and parcel of the same thing. You'll have the opportunity to cross-examine him for further understanding if you choose to do so. As far as the statement, that is hearsay, Mr. Lacewell. Because you're trying to admit something that of a statement of someone who's not in court with us today to be cross-examined by the solicitor. So that would not be proper. Okay.
I understand, Your Honor.
So I will sustain the objection as far as that statement goes. Anything else that you want to tell the court?
And also in terms of the video that Officer Cashmere did tell me that he couldn't get a photo of that I requested. I actually 3 days after the accident, I did try to get in contact with the police station in regards of trying to get in contact with him or finding pictures. Or finding the video of the camera from the roadside. The road that I passed or the red light before, so we could see it from the back point of view and actually see the accident of the collision before court came, but I never got any contact back from them or the people that they said they were going to contact me back. And that's all I really had to say after that.
Okay. I'm gonna allow Ms. Waldrop to cross-examine you, Mr. Lacewell, but I don't understand what, if anything, that you think that Ms. Williams did wrong.
Can you repeat that, Your Honor?
Yes, I don't understand, because you were making your questioning of the officer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what, if anything, you think that Ms. Williams did wrong to cause this accident.
I don't think that either one of us did anything wrong, but we both should have received a ticket for getting into an accident with either or. I shouldn't have been the only person to receive a citation for a failure to change or maintain my lane.
Well, for her to receive a citation, she would have had to have done something wrong. Okay. He thought that you did something wrong in changing lanes, so that's why he gave you a citation. What I'm just trying to understand from you is what, if anything, you think Ms. Williams did wrong.
Crashed into the side of my car and hit me when I was already maintaining it to my lane.
Okay, but she was in her lane of travel?
Yes, but I didn't see a car before she came because I had let two cars over prior to before she even came down the street.
You didn't see a car, but my question to you was she in her lane of travel?
Yes.
She was always in her lane of travel.
Well, I didn't really see her next to me as she wasn't next to me in the same lane as me as travel. No, I didn't have coherent vision to where she was right next to me. I could look and see her. No, I looked into all four, my rear view and my both side mirrors, and I put on my signal and I let cars pass me. And before she made contact with me, she hit me, and then I realized she was already in the lane of passage. She wasn't just there already
Why were you trying to get over into the right lane?
because the painted pin was literally the next exit up past that light that I had to get over into my right lane. And I was already having my signal open to let people know that I was getting over. And I already let two cars pass. And then by the time I did get in and establish myself, I already got hit and realized she was in her lane of passage to where we made contact.
Okay. Cross,
Yes, Judge.
and I'll give you this if you want to use it, Ms. Walker.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Mr. Lacewell, do you know what a blind spot is?
Yes.
Okay, what is that?
Um, from my knowledge, I believe a blind spot is an area that you cannot see that the person is in, the area of the person that the vision that's incoherent to your vision, you can't see in your blind spot pretty much.
Okay, and you admit that Miss Williams was in your blind spot, correct?
I never admitted it. That's what she said.
Well, that's what you told the officer, Officer Casimir, on that evening, correct?
I told the officer that's what she said to me.
Mr. Lacewell, did you listen to the video that was played in court today?
Yes.
Okay.
And the first clip actually, you couldn't hear what I was saying to him because of the weather, and he wasn't showing partial of my face when he did ask me that question in coherence to that.
Do you recall at 16 minutes and 55 seconds stating to Officer Casimir, she's on my side, she was in my blind spot? Do you recall that?
No, I do not.
I'm sorry? You don't recall?
No.
Okay, let's see if we can back up the video to 16 minutes and 55 seconds. And for the record, it's at 16:51 right now. Did you just hear yourself say, she was on my side, she was in my blind spot?
No, I heard she was on my side. I did not hear she was in my blind spot. If I did I do recall or remember saying anything to him when I did say that, I said the first thing that she did say when I got out of my car, the first thing I did ask her was, "How fast was you going?" And she replied with saying she must have been in my blind spot. And that's what I said to the officer.
Mr. Lacewell, do you recall telling the officer at 17 minutes and 22 seconds that you were trying to get over into the next lane, the far right lane? Do you recall?
Excuse me, Your Honor. I'm wondering if Ms. Waldrop's mic might have just gone softer. I couldn't hear that question so well.
Yes, I'll repeat the question. The mic is on. Do you recall telling the officer at 17 minutes and 22 seconds that you were trying to get over into the next lane in the far right lane?
Yes.
Okay. And you just stated to the court that when your cars collided, you realized that Ms. Williams was in her lane of travel. You just stated that on direct, correct?
Not in the way you're saying, no, I didn't state it like that.
Okay, how did you state it?
When I did explain it to the court, when I was defending myself, I told everybody here that I was already maintained in my lane before I got hit with contact.
Well, but that's not what you told the officer at 17 minutes and 22 seconds. You told him that you were trying to get into the lane, the far right lane, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you stated on direct that you initiated contact with Ms. Williams' vehicle, correct?
Can you repeat that?
You stated on direct that you initiated contact with her vehicle, correct?
I stated I'm correct.
On direct.
Indirect?
Testifying. You stated that you initiated contact with her vehicle, correct?
That I didn't or did?
Did.
No.
Okay. You stated on direct that your car slid from the rain, correct?
Yeah, my car slid from the rain?
Yes.
From the contact of me being hit, yes.
So your car didn't slide from the rain, it slid from the contact of you being hit?
Yes.
Okay, so your statement on direct that your car slid from the rain, that was incorrect?
No, it wasn't incorrect.
So your car did slide from the rain?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Lacewell, why did you provide Ms. Williams with insurance documentation from InsureMax?
The reason why I did it was because I honestly thought that was the insurance card that my parents last had listed for the vehicle, but they changed it so frequently that I did not have any knowledge of the new insurance card policy that they had, and they gave it to me the day after to they gave it to me the day after I explained to them the accident.
Okay. And this sketch that you provided to the court, I'm sorry, just for my own clarification, I really can't understand this. Can you explain what it is that you were trying to show the court with regard to that?
So right here, I was.
Sketch at the top, not this one down here.
It's up here. So I was right here in this lane, which is the median. And if she's in the far right, she's over here. Because there was 4 lanes. There's actually a turn lane right here. And then this was the left lane from the right. And then this was the median. And then that was the right lane that she was gonna turn. So I came into this lane after letting 2 cars pass, and it just was red for a brief moment. So every car had came to a stop. So I don't understand why we even came into contact of being hit if it was a red light. Right here, when I did already establish myself into the lane, there was already a point of contact right here. And she was in my blind spot apparently to where she didn't see me, or my car was too dark to where she collided into me when I was already established into the lane.
Is this the far right lane or is this the far right lane? and this is her lane of travel, is that correct? And this was your lane of travel in the middle here?
Mhm.
Okay, was there an intersection up here at which you were trying to turn? Is that where you were trying to get over into the front lane?
There was an intersection and there was also a stop sign in a neighborhood going into another area.
Okay, and so were you trying to make that turn, that right turn at the intersection? Is that why you were trying to get into that lane?
I was trying to make the right turn to get into the pavement duct, because it was right there in that area. I'm also not familiar with Orca and being in that area as well. So the roads and the streets and the terrain is something I'm not used to in terms of the streets and everything colliding and everything.
Understood. Okay, I'll return this to the court. Thank you.
Mhm.
Nothing further, Judge.
Anything further, Mr. Lacewell?
Oh, no, Your Honor.
Um, anything further, Ms. Waldrop?
Just closing, Judge.
And you can have a seat. Mr. Lacewell, the court's heard a lot of evidence this morning. We all want to have a brief closing. I'll entertain that now.
Your Honor, the state will go first. Judge, you heard testimony from, on the state's behalf from two witnesses, Ms. Williams herself, who was the other driver of the vehicle that evening, as well as Officer Casimir of the Atlanta Police Department. With regard to Ms. Williams, she stated to Officer Casimir that she was traveling in that farthest right lane, getting ready to turn in order to go home. There was initially a red light, and then because there were cars backed up, the traffic began to move. She could not have been going more than approximately, I think, 5 miles per hour. You heard on the body cam of Officer Casimir. She was not distracted in any way. She was able to see out of her peripheral vision. Well, first of all, she was able to see that the light had changed and begin to drive. And then she was furthermore able to see out of her peripheral vision that there was a vehicle coming into her lane. And just before contact, she was able to honk the horn. But it unfortunately wasn't in time enough to stop Mr. Lacewell from attempting to enter her lane of travel, and their vehicles collided. Ms. Williams at all points was in her lane of travel. It was Mr. Lacewell who was attempting to cross over and merge into that lane so that he could make that turn up ahead to go to the painted duck. You heard Officer Casimir testify that the damage on both vehicles was consistent with actually both of their stories. That Mr. Lacewell's story and Ms. Williams' story was actually in sync with one another. That she was in his blind spot, but she was already established in that lane when he attempted to get over. And you heard Officer Casimir explain to Mr. Lacewell, I think more than once, that he could not get into that lane because it wasn't clear. It was not clear for him to enter into. And Judge, that is a pretty clear violation of 40-6-123A, which again states no person shall change lanes or move right or left upon a roadway unless and until such movement can be made with reasonable safety. In this case, it could not have been made with reasonable safety as Ms. Williams was already established in that lane of travel. She had absolutely nowhere to go because the sidewalk was to her right and Mr. Lacewell was to her left. And furthermore, she was in that lane of travel specifically for the purpose of making that right turn. So that would have been her lane. She would have had no reason to cross over into the middle lane into Mr. Lacewell's lane of travel. Your Honor, you heard testimony from Ms. Williams that she reached out to the defendant to get the insurance information or find out whether or not he wanted to do this out of pocket so that it wouldn't even have to be reported to his insurance. And his statement to her was, "No comment, see you in court." And to this day, Judge, he refuses to take responsibility for the fact that he was trying to merge into a lane and that he could not do so with reasonable safety because that lane was already occupied and was not clear, and Ms. Williams had the right of way. With regard to the other exhibits, Judge, you have the cab that shows that Ms. Williams called 911. No dispute about that. They both remained on scene. You have the pictures of Miss Williams's damage to her vehicle. You can see scratches going all the way from the front to the back of the vehicle. It's going to need extensive paint repair because of those scratches. And so the state and Miss Williams did provide you with the estimate. I think she gave a very reasonable and clear explanation as to why that estimate is so recent, and this accident occurred about a year ago. She did not have the correct insurance information because what he provided her was an old insurance card, which he did admit to the court. Judge, in closing, I would just ask that you find the defendant guilty as charged of violating OCGA 40-6-123A. And I will reserve the state's recommendation for sentencing should you find the defendant guilty of that charge.
Mr. Lacewell, anything further that you'd like for me to hear in closing?
Yeah, and just in terms of like everything that did transpire, I really did not I'm trying to think of the right wording. I didn't I just don't understand why for the most part everything with me being collided and it's just I don't understand why I'm not being in coerced with the relevancy of my car being damaged as well. And both of our insurance companies paying for each other's damages. And that's all I really have to say.
Okay, so this doesn't have any, let me see if I can explain to you as I'm giving you this doesn't have anything to do with the insurance right now. This is a criminal matter. As far as anything else, there's also a civil matter that can take place as opposed with property damage if there's a dispute and that and those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
This matter only involves who was, if anyone, at fault for this accident. And I'm sorry, Ms. Waldrop, did you have something further?
No, Judge.
Okay.
I'll let it go.
Okay. And I don't know if I can explain to you adequately. You seem to be very adamant in your belief and maybe not listening to the totality of the circumstances here. That's why I was trying to ask you, what did you believe Miss Williams did wrong? You know, just think about it. If I'm in my lane of travel, okay, if I never get out of my lane of travel, if I am going at a reasonable speed, you also have to realize that it was not only dark out there that evening, but there was rain. There is nothing that I've heard that Miss Williams did wrong. She was minding her business, driving her car, and so as far as why she wasn't charged with something, it's because she didn't do anything wrong. Okay? From the testimony that I heard. I'm not sure if this happened as far as, but what I did hear was that there was a stoplight, that you weren't familiar with the area, and that you needed to make a turn. That was coming up at some point. So yeah, yes, you were trying to, you did have your blinker on. I don't think that was in dispute, and you were trying to get over. But the law provides that you have to get over in a safe manner. And if she wasn't doing, if she was always in her lane of travel, and you were not in your lane of travel but trying to get over, then you caused the accident. One of my pet peeves, and I'm not, is when people are at a stoplight, somebody needs to make a turn that's coming up. And instead of, you're in the wrong lane, you're not in the lane where you need to make your turn. But instead of going straight, turning around, coming back, maybe doing something that, what you do is you inconvenience everybody else. You inconvenience the people behind you because you're trying to get over to make your turn. And it's at a light. There are other vehicles that are there. You're not the only person that's on that roadway. Okay, so you always have to be considerate of the other drivers that are around you. I don't see, again, Ms. Williams did anything wrong in this matter. I do think that you came over into her and that you caused the accident, and apparently that's what the officer did also. I am going to find that you did cause the accident, and in that respect violate the law. Before I pass my sentence, though, I'm going to hear from Ms. Waldrop in regards to the state's recommendation.
Yes, Judge. So the state's recommendation, Judge, is just 12 months probation for the defendant to pay a $300 fine, complete 20 hours of community service, and pay restitution to Ms. Williams. This all could have been settled, but the defendant did not want to take responsibility, so that is what we would be asking for with regard to sentencing. And it can terminate upon completion.
Okay. I think that, Mr. Lacewell, I think that instead of community service, that you would be best served, as far as this court's concerned, with a defensive driving class. So, and just so that maybe that you will have a better understanding of the rules of the road, possibly, and your responsibility as far as this case goes. I am going to accept the $300 fine. As far as the property damage goes, I understand that you gave what you thought was proper. I also understand that that when Ms. Williams contacted you, those were all settlement negotiations. I heard that, but any type of settlement negotiations, they should not be a part of this case. So whether you did or did not communicate with her, that's your right. Hold on. Yeah, I understand. I don't want you to, let me finish my sentence because I don't want you to influence it in that way, in a negative way for you. It's my understanding, had you taken the plea 2 days ago, that was not going to be a part of the suggested sentence. The estimate was only acquired recently. I do note that what I believe is the proper insurance company is located or is on the police report. So regardless of what you gave Ms. Williams, it's my understanding that the car was proper. That's why I asked the question. The car was properly insured, and she should be able to get in touch with that insurance company. Still, at this point in time. I see that more as a civil matter at this point. And you still have your civil rights, Ms. Williams, in that regard. So I'm not going to make that a part of this sentence. Number one, because I think it's more appropriate as a civil matter, and you do have all the information that you did now. Number two, you have not gotten your car fixed or repaired. Had you gotten your car fixed or repaired and you had an actual bill for me that you had as opposed to just an estimate, then that might be that might have been considered, but we only have an estimate that is a very recent estimate. So I'm not gonna, I'm gonna let you all deal with that civilly. It will be a $300 fine, okay? $300 fine, a defensive driving class. I'm not sure if you're able to pay that. If you're able to pay that contemporaneous.
I could pay it next.
Well, let me just say this, because what I am considering is, as opposed to placing you on probation, I would prefer just to reset you for another hearing so that you can pay that $300 fine, and so you could do that defensive driving class, come back and show me that you've done that, and not put you on probation, but give you the opportunity to do that. Is there a problem with that?
No, sir, 12/18.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you think that you can get that defensive driving class? Is something that you take online, and you should be able to do it relatively quickly. So do you think you can get the fine paid and the defensive driving class done by December 18th?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'm going to reset you for December 18th. If you can pay the fine online, you can come down here and pay it. I'll show you how to do that. If you get it paid and you get the paperwork turned in prior to that date, you'll be done, okay?
Okay.
All right. And I would really like for you to take note of that defensive driving class and what really transpired in this matter, okay?
I will.
All right. Is there anything further on this matter for the court today?
No, Judge.
Anything further, Mr. Lacewell?
No.
All right. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
And you also, Ms. Wilson. Thank you for being here. Okay. Do we have any other matters that we need to take up?
Not to my knowledge, Judge.
All right. Ms. Greenhouse, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll get you, I have all these exhibits, so I guess I need to get you these for
well, thank you for mentioning that. Would you be able to give those to Mr. Glanville, and then I'll be in touch with Mr. Glanville about those? Would that be all right?
That's fine with me. Thank you.
Ms. Young could get them and we can forward them to you.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'll be back in touch with you about that. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Greenhouse.
Yeah.
Good to see you as always.
Same here. Thank you so much.
Is there any that I can bring with me, or it's gonna be like sent to me later?
Did you can take a picture. I can write my information down with the email. The defensive driving. You can pay online and yeah, that's my back. The fine.
I don't think he gets it. I still don't think he understands.
It's his defensive driving certificate.
So this would be www.fultonstate.org to make the payment. Young.gov to send the payment.
GA.gov. It's Fulton County GA.gov.
Fulton County GA.gov. That's the sender. copy of the paperwork to her that you completed.
So yeah, after I pay it, I can send you the like
And
print
then
out.
you don't have to fill out the form. Let me give you a copy.
Let's see if Anna or Sarita can.
Thank you.
You did good.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I tried my best to make it further with myself. It's my first time. I just want to see if I can.
Yeah, you did.
Guys,
You did good. You did good.
guys have a blessed day.
You as well.
Everybody comes.
That's good.
Oh, my baby.
You always talk. And Johnny.
Really doubt, really doubt.
You go.
Every time. He's bringing a coffin to you.
Then I'm 11:21. We have this